Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Final Fantasy VII. In the last part, we did some optional side quests by heading over to the Ancient Forest and then did the entire underwater reactor sequence, and now we have access to the wide ocean of between two continents. That's about it.
The ocean is dangerous.
Yes.
This game, if the one moral of this game, this game had one moral in it, don't go into the ocean.
Yes.
Just hang around the shore.
As we went over last part, you want to be careful down here because there is that one green thing you really want to avoid for right now. Though, in most portions of the ocean, if you just go up to the highest altitude that your submarine can be at, you're completely fine. I am down here right now for two reasons. One, there's an optional area down here, and the second is this little passage here. You're not supposed to get this thing here for a little bit yet. I want to say a part and a half or so. But I know it's here, you can get it ahead of time.
It saves time to do that, to do it here. A lot of time.
Yeah, it saves about, I want to say a 7-minute backtrack.
Probably more. Because doesn't it allow you to kind of skip that whole cutscene with it?
It changes it so that it all happens in one fell swoop, so you don't have to go through the extra dialogue.
Oop.
Oh, getting stuck on the wall.
I gotta say, controlling the submarine can be difficult at times.
Yeah, the way the submarine moves is very similar to the Highwind in that you press the one button to move forward, and then you just kind of steer left and right with the D-pad. Kind of like Resident Evil controls, but not.
Something I find pretty cool about Final Fantasy VII, especially considering that 10 is supposedly a like a pre-Final Fantasy VII, like FF7 world, is that the ocean has no random encounters in Final Fantasy VII, but in Final Fantasy X, they're everywhere. And the ocean is far more dangerous than the land in most cases.
Yeah. Also, if you wonder what that little cut was, that was me rearranging my party, I believe. Something I really like about the ocean as well, I think I mentioned this last part, but I absolutely love the music track there. I love the ocean zone.
Yes.
It's on my night driving playlist for when I'm driving back from work. Either way, welcome to the Gelnika. This is one of the Shinra ships. We actually saw one of these take off last part. But now we can actually full out explore one, and we want to do this for a couple reasons. One, there's some optional encounters in here that I want to show off, but also up here in the top right is the double cut materia, which I believe, if I'm recalling the way it works correctly, just makes it so that attack becomes 2 attacks.
And 4 if you level it up completely.
Yes, and that is very good, but there's another item in this room that I often miss, despite being one of the more important items to get here, honestly. And that is up in the top left corner, I believe it is?
Thought it was bottom? Something?
Well, either way, we got our first encounter for this part, and the dangerous thing about the encounters here is that they're all practically boss fights. Starting off, we got the Unknown 2. 13,000 HP, 3,000 experience points, 300 AP, 10,000 yield, no elemental weaknesses. You can steal Aurora armlets from them, they can drop them into curtains, they can be morphed into guard sources. The dangerous thing about the Unknown lines, because as you can tell if there's Unknown 2, there's at least an Unknown 1, is that they hurt.
And they cause confusion. This one causes confusion.
Yeah, that is what Abnormal Breath can do. It also has like an attack called Question Mark Needle, which does paralysis, and Jesus Christ!
Here's something fun that you can do if you're trying to get limit breaks going. Come down here with Fury and have a little fun.
Just make sure you also can inflict sadness on yourself to increase your defense if you need to, because these things hurt. Very often whenever I come here during my playthroughs, I tend to just run away from the fights because I don't feel like dealing with this much damage. But very often I have to, and plus since this is an LP, I basically have to fight everything I run into. So, fun.
What does the Question Mark Needle do?
That, I believe, paralyzes consistently. And it's I think it's a counterattack past a certain point. I believe a strategy you can use for this is Frog Song, because that consistently will inflict sleep, and they are susceptible to that. Thank you, Sid, for jumping on it a lot. You're like me in 14.
It's like Freya in 9.
Yeah.
Except she throws spears from above. She doesn't actually go down on him.
I love Dragoon in 14. It's my favorite. It's my main class.
Yeah. Apparently you have Kane's lance again.
Yeah, I got what's supposed to be is... Oh, here it is. The Conformer. That is Yuffie's ultimate weapon. The big thing with it is... when you use the morph command with it, you don't get your damage reduced, and it's the only weapon in the game like that. I believe its power is determined by the target's level?
I don't know the algorithm for it.
Now, here's an interesting thing. Here we find Reno and Rue, but you won't always find them here. If you progress in the plot a little bit further, they will not be here. So we have a bit of a optional fight against them here. I mean, obviously it's an optional area to begin with, but...
Yeah.
Starting off, you go off with Reno first.
I'll go off. So, starting we have Reno, who's got 15,000 HP. That's a doorbell. 230 MP, 230 magic points, 5,000 XP, 300 AP, 4,000 gil, and you can steal a tough ring from it, which I believe increases strength by 50?
I think so.
I'm gonna have to grab that
here,
real quick.
Rude has 20,000 HP, 5,500 experience points, 360 AP, and 5,000 gil. You can steal a Zedric from him, which is an okay piece of equipment. He'll also drop an elixir upon defeat. This fight, honestly, it's not too different from the one we fought back in Gongaga. So if you just go all out, use a lot of multi-targeting attacks, you should be fine as soon as you do your seals. Let's see, Zedric. Oh, actually, no, Zedric, yeah, that's really good. It doesn't have any materia slots, but it halves fire, ice, lightning, earth, poison, gravity, water, wind, holy cut. It halves all damage, basically, as well as increasing your strength and magic by 20. Not my favorite, because I'd like to use materia, but, you know, it's still good. Whereas the tough ring is vitality and spirit plus 50. Also, it's misspelled as tooth.
Tough.
Because of course it is. Really though, the Turks in terms of strategy never really change much from the first time. In fact, they get easier since Reno never uses pyramid again. They're very much... They feel like Disc 1 bosses.
I actually died against them a couple times when I was first playing, but I think that was just because I was underleveled.
That's very possible. Honestly, the Gelnika is a very easy area to die in. Not just because of Reno Rube, but because the unknowns just do that much damage.
Mm-hmm.
I've had playthroughs where since HP in this game is random with how much it grows, I've had playthroughs where I've gotten one shot just because my stats weren't good enough.
To put it in perspective, I don't know what Unknown 2's stats are, but Unknown 3's stats are all 150 except for evasion and luck.
Yeah, that's practic. I think that's stronger than most enemies in the final area of the game. Which is a bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
And here's the cargo room. This is the other important room in this place. Because there's two very notable items we need to get here.
Mm-hmm.
As well as the next encounter.
And the next encounter is that which I just spoke of, Unknown 3. 15,000 HP, 2,000 EXP, 200 AP, and 7,500 gil. You can steal a bolt armlet from it, and it drops a holy torch at 4.6%. It can morph into a magic source. No elemental weaknesses, but it absorbs lightning, and I believe also poison. That might be Unknown 2, I don't quite remember. But no, it says here that it takes full damage from poison.
The big thing with this fight is that it counters everything with Creepy Touch, which will always inflict sadness. Though you can admittedly make this fight... Jesus Christ, Sid, no!
Slap.
A good thing you can do for fighting these things is that if you wear an accessory that prevents poison, that makes its Poison Fang attack basically non-threatening. Although, Sid, you hero, stop it! I really should get the cover materia off of it. There is a strange bug with this I'm aware of, though, where this, one of his attacks checks for the cost for fire than Bolt 2's. And for some reason that prevents it from being, that allows it to still use spells when it's out of MP.
Weird.
Though, thankfully, what you can do, I think for every single one of the unknowns, I think I forgot to mention this for Unknown 2. I think every single one of them is susceptible to gravity in the way that certain enemies are, where it instant kills them. Or at least for having their HP a bit if you're having trouble with their defenses. Quadra magic.
Right. I think Unknown 3 is actually susceptible to level 4 suicide.
Very probably. Also, Quadra magic is very good for these things.
Level 52. Yep.
Yeah? This room used to scare me when I first played the game. I don't know why.
The cargo room?
Yeah, I think it's because of the
or
monsters.
the Gelnika in general, because I'd be scared of the Gelnika.
A bit of a column A and B situation there. But the next enemy is the Serpent. 14,000 HP, 1,400 experience points, 70 AP, 2,500 gil. Weak to wind, takes no damage from earth and gravity. You can steal water ring from them. You know that there's not much point to that in this point in the game. I don't think any of the other boss fights from this point on are going to use water attacks. It can drop either the Dragon Scales or the Stardust, and it can be morphed into a Mind Source. If you're looking for stat ups, this place is a really good place to go if you can't tell.
It can drop the Dragon Scales? Drops a key item?
Apparently.
Huh.
You can also learn Aqua Lung from it, but I'm not sure if you can manipulate it to do that. Honestly, just given that all of its attacks are water elemental, water breath, water rings would be useful against it, but ultimately, given its low HP and stats compared to the rest of the things in here, you're not going to be having much problem.
Finishing Touch. The best move in Smash 4.
Yeah, that is. This is the latest I've gotten Finishing Touch in a while. I usually have it by the iceberg, the icicle sequence back in the northern continent. What that does is that Cloud generates a tornado around him, and it sends enemies up in the air. If they're susceptible to instant death, there's a large chance they will get killed by it. Otherwise, they just get brought back to the ground and get huge damage.
So, and it works on bosses too, yes?
Yes, it works as damage. It won't kill most of them. By the way, we got some important things in here. First off is the Hades materia, which does some damage, yeah, but it also essentially acts as a bad breath where it tries to inflict a lot of status ailments. And we also get the High Wind. That is Sid's Ultimate Limit Break.
I don't think I've ever used the Hades materia.
Well, I'll get good use out of it during a certain red fight later on.
So, Unknown Regular. This is Unknown 1. 11,000 HP, 1,500 XP, 150 AP, 5,000 gil. You can steal a fire omelet from it, and it drops a light curtain at 4.6%. Morphs into a power source, although there's a much easier way to get those than doing this. Absorbs fire, but doesn't have any other elemental weaknesses.
A strange thing with this boss I've noticed over the years is that its leg attack has, or is it tongue? It has two distinct animations, but I don't think there's an actual difference between the two of them.
I was never able to tell.
And otherwise, I think this is probably the unknown I've not only encountered the least over the years, but have had the least trouble with, just because it doesn't have any major status-inflicting attacks.
Yeah.
And with that, we are done in the Gelnika. I'm not even sure if do I just straight up cut out of here? No, I walk out. Thankfully, at this point, it's just time for us to progress in plot, because now we're back at Rocket Town. How you doing, old dude?
That's your rocket.
Well, looks like, yeah, they did mention that Rufus is coming over here for something, so might as well head over to the 26th. Shara, what's your thoughts on the situation? Shara? Shara?
She gone.
Shara? I have no idea where she is.
The despair theme, huh?
Also, I never noticed it before, but you can't go back to Sid's backyard because they didn't include that background data in Disc 3, I think. to save some, Disc 2 to save some space. Yeah, those look like some Shinra grunts up there. Great. Hey, we're not actually, no, I guess we are kind of ego-terrorists.
We kind of are, unfortunately.
These guys are all Attack Squad and various other Shinra people we fought before. There's nothing special about these fights. Well, you know, Sid, given what the steam coming out, I'm going to take a guess and say they're going to try and launch the rocket? In fact, if I recall correctly, didn't we learn their plan to use a huge materia already?
Yes, they did.
Yes.
To launch it into space and try and fight the meteor with it.
Yeah, so you know what? Yeah, it's a good plan. Oh, and hey, Rude, we just saw you 5 minutes ago. How you been? I believe this is the fight that cuts off the Reno and Rude fights in the Gelnika. Now, Rude has some buddies here, but they're not anything of note. Whereas Rude's stats themselves have taken a drastic decrease. He now has 9,000 HP, 3,400 XP, 80 AP, 3,000 gil. You can still steal the Zedric from him, and I think I even try to do it again here. And he'll still drop a high potion upon defeat. Otherwise, there's still nothing much to fear from him. Big guard and going all out's all you really need.
Quake 3 looks really cool.
Oh yeah, I love the Quake animations in this game. I love the texture on it.
Stole the Zydric. Zydric is really good.
Yeah. Though I feel bad for I keep on stealing this man's shit. I'm sorry, man. I really hope we get more screen time from the Turks in the remake, because they are really fun characters, but we never get enough time to really enjoy them outside of, like, Wu-Tai. There's a lot I hope the remake improves upon, and thankfully, given the fact that apparently the first game is just going to be the Midgar section, and it's not going to be the length of Final Fantasy 13 on its own, gives me a lot of hope for Turks and even Shinra board screen time. I meant to edit that out. Whoops. Yeah, sorry about that. I kept my menuing in. Whoops. I had to make sure I had my material set up.
That was a nice cutout. He's just standing up, and then the next thing he knows, he's just on the ground.
Yeah, we're too fast, man. When you got hair like this, all you can do is stab people with the hair.
Something interesting I've noticed is that Sid always seems to have, like, grunts or people working under him. Because in 4, he's got those people working on the airship that put the drill on. Final Fantasy V, he's technically got his grandson. Final Fantasy VI, technically the Empire. Well, he's part of the Empire at that point. So,
8, he's the headmaster. 9, he's a king in that one.
He's a king in that one. 10 leader, 10 Albed leader.
2, he was the airship commander. I don't know about 11 if it even has a Sid. It probably does. I don't know about him. 12 had 2 Sids, didn't it?
12 had Al Cid, who led Rosaria, and Dr. Cid.
13, I'd rather not remember. 14's actually probably my second favorite Sid next to this one. Cid de Garland is really cool.
Also, good song.
Yeah, this very slower rendition of Sid's theme is one of my favorite songs in the game.
Sending a dream into space. I believe that's
But given the situation, Sid's honestly down to get on the airship, so we're going up to space, people.
Uh-oh. It's Palmer.
Ah, what did you do?
I hope they made Palmer more hilarious than they did in this game. I didn't know if that was possible, but I hope they did.
Oh, I really hope. I have high hopes for the remake. Like, I know a lot of people are pissed that it's not the same gameplay system, but I kind of like the more action-esque approach for this game, given its storyline. It's kind of like fusing the best of this with Crisis Core.
I was gonna say, like, it seems quite like Crisis Core was. To that end, I hope Magic Pots drop Genji shields.
I have very certain hopes for the remake in terms of certain aspects as well. Like, I hope they bring in the... Oh, Jesus Christ, no, that poor cabin. Thankfully, that wasn't any of the rest of the village. That was just that one that was right next to the thing. My biggest hope for the remake, and I know we've talked about the remake a couple times already, is they bring the expanded universe stuff like Crisis Core and Dirge of Cerberus in without being overbearing with it. Like maybe an optional fight against like an early form of Omega weapon from Dirge of Cerberus and something like that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're in space. Space. Well, how are we gonna get back from this one?
Why can't we play the theme that plays on the moon in DuckTales?
That paints an image. They're just like floating due to the anti-grav, and Barrett's like cursing up a storm, like shit.
There's just this calming you, like, relax, you're in space, nobody can hear you scream anyways.
Sounds like a sequel animation that Oni would make to that 171 he made 6+ years ago now, I think.
Yeah.
Watch out for those pointy bits.
Ooh.
But yeah, thankfully, of course, being Shinra, they do have an escape pod for us to use, so we can get back to Earth.
God, that's 7 years old.
Yeah, so. We still need to get that huge materia, though, so we need to go and grab that. And this is one of my least favorite portions of the game in one regard. They never tell you exactly what to do.
It's like, they plop you down and you're like, okay, go find it. You're like, what?
Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong, the huge materia is easy to find. This place is only like 3 rooms big, technically. But the thing is, the huge materia is in this thing here. And you need to input a combination to grab it. The combination is set. It's the same thing every single time. It's square, circle, XX? No, circle, square, XX. However, the game...
It's different on the Steam version.
It's the same buttons, but because they don't have those buttons, they have to use like page up, page down, something like that. The problem with this is there's no way for you to know what the password is ahead of time. You have to trial and error it. I think you get a set amount of tries before you're just locked out. You don't need the huge materia to beat the game. You'll just continue on as normal, but you can't get the bonuses for it. Thankfully, I've had this memorized since my brother told me about it, so I don't have a problem. I have a problem with how they implement it, but...
This game has its quirks.
Yeah. And you know, I kind of like it for that, because a game that's quirkless is a game that's fairly characterless, if you know what I mean.
Yep, does not have any personality. That's why 6 is really good, because it also has its own flaws, like the Vanish Doom glitch.
And Sketch. Oh, Sketch. You can delete your save file, but you also might...
They patched it out on emulator, which is sad, because I want to see the effects of the Sketch glitch.
Oh, geez. Yeah, an oxygen tank exploded. Well, that's unfortunate. However, here's where Sid really gets a moment, because first off, Clyde, I love that line. I can't go without my friends. But Sid realizes this is oxygen tank number 8, I believe it is?
Yep, number 8.
Which might sound familiar to y'all. This is the very same tank that Shara was investigating all those years ago when the Shinra number 26 was supposed to launch. She was right all of those years ago. And needless to say, Sid's a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for here? Apprehensive about this whole thing now because of this? Because he's like, ah, shit, man. Also, Shara's been on the ship the entire time. She's pretty calm about the situation.
Also, Tank 8 exploded. It's a metaphor.
Oh.
It's a defect. I see a poser.
It's always it has that weird junction system on it. Wait, actually, I think the Team 4 Star Machine Bridge actually makes the exact same joke. Shit. Damn it. But no, it's time for us to get out of here. Goodbye, Shinra number 26. You were a great staple of a great town, but we'd like to live.
To the escape pod. And now Sid's fulfilled his dream of going to space.
Yeah, I really like this moment here we're about to have with them in the pod. Just him, like, gazing out in wonder. That's really cute. But also, like, in the, like, fulfilling kind of cute way, not just the really, like, cute, puffy, aw way.
Honk honk.
I hope this thing has parachutes, by the way, because re-entry's gonna be a bitch.
There goes another one. Hold your fire. There's no life forms. Unless it's short-circuited.
Please don't claim me, Lucas. So, I know that space physics change a bit, but what is that tiny rocket gonna do against that? Like, Deep Impact in movies like that, they at least have nukes on them, but what is this gonna... Oh, Jesus, my eyes! So, is this working? Is Meteor gone?
Destroyed?
The world saved? Do we just have to worry about Sephiroth and Jinra now? No, people probably should not be staring right into that. It's like staring into the sun. My eyes are boiling!
Yeah, Bergeson is, what, 150 years old? He's fine. He's had a good life.
Yeah.
He's like Athos. Per the Athos.
Ah, never forgetting. That looks like a meteor that's still there. In fact, it looks like we made it angrier.
Imagine meteors having emotions.
Now, I've never been exactly sure what the implication is happening here, like if the lightning is just magnetizing the parts that were blown off back onto it, or it's like a tether where that things can't get too far away from it. I've never been too certain, but either way, meteor is still there. The plan is a failure, and if you don't get the huge materia, this cutscene does not change at all. The materia does not boost the power of the explosion whatsoever.
Hey, at least it's not like, oh god, Majora's Mask, where you have not a lot of time.
I think at this point in the game, we're within a week and a half of Meteor Fall.
Wouldn't that be fun if you if you fell asleep at an inn 7 times, you just get a game over?
I'm surprised. Well, I think 13.2, not 13.2, 13.3 has a situation like that. Because that game works
Lightning Returns?
Yeah, because that game has sort of a time system. I've never played the game. I've always wanted to because I like Majora's Mask, so I think I would like that game enough. Except for story, because 13's story in any regards is not good.
Feels bad, man.
Except for Saz. I love Saz. Well, I guess that puts us back to Square 14.
Square 14.
Yeah, Square 1 was already all the way back in Midgar. We're on Square 14 now. Focus on Sephiroth, see if we can get rid of Shinra in the process too. Not sure which one we'll do in which order, but it's our general options right now. Seven Sid really is the best Sid in terms of his character arc. Mind you, I think that's probably because he's also the first Sid that got like a lot of dialogue. Because I look back, and 2 Sid was basically just there to be a joke. 1 Sid didn't exist until future remakes. 3 Sid didn't. I don't really remember that much about it because he's barely there. 4 Sid, you had him for, what was it, like 2 or 3 dungeons, and he talked a lot, but he was very one note. 7 Sid's the first one that has some actual depth to that, and I appreciate it. 7's cast, I really do like.
7's cast is good.
Oh, hi, Red. What's up? You know, I get that, like, in lore, we can hear this because we're trying to help the planet, but what does this sound like to everyone else? An earthquake? Still, since the planet's screaming, we're gonna head over to Gongaga and see if he can tell us anything about what's going on. Alright, old man, what you got for us? Hello? Old man?
Age-old wisdom.
Ah, you're in the observatorium. So, what'd you think of that whole fireworks show out there?
A light show.
I do wonder what they're going to do with Cosmo Canyon in general in the remake, because this area is very different from the rest of the game. Probably because it's the only, like, truly natural area outside of, like, Gongaga forests and the ancient forest. Also, we have a rarity in the game here. This is the only time in the game where you get to see everyone on one screen in the observatorium. In fact, I want to say this is the most characters we have on one screen at a time ever in the game.
Like of cast or at all?
I want to say almost at all. Except for maybe the sequence right before the Temple of the Ancients, where you have everyone in the Golden Saucer Hotel.
It's easier there because there's more space. Here, they're a little bit more cramped.
Yeah, it's probably really warm in here right now. Still, we are left to wonder. Aerith said that she was the only one who could stop Meteor. What was her goal? And if we can't carry on with it, what are we supposed to do? So, at this point, since we don't know exactly what she did, we're going to actually head back to the City of the Ancients, I believe, so we can try and figure out something. Also, you're playing the pronoun game there, Red. Just say the place.
No. Pronoun game is not good.
I hate that trope in writing. It's them. Them? Yeah, them. What? Like, doing it once or twice, like, sure, but, like, come on, guys. By the time you use the 7th word in a row like that, stop. And Gongaga is going to be joining along because he's probably got a really nice thing he can learn from there, too. And also, we're carrying around all the huge materials. It's such a delicate thing, we probably should leave it somewhere. Thus, the astrologium actually has a purpose. Now, this is where one of the bigger side quests comes into play in the game, and one that I am absolutely not touching. Huge materia have a secondary purpose. If you investigate them with every materia of a certain type mastered, you get what's called a master materia from them, which has the abilities of every single one of the individuals. There are some exceptions, like certain command materia don't need to be mastered. I think certain magics don't either. But that is a lot of grinding, and I do not care to ever do it. There are other ways to get master materia in the game anyway, so I'm just going to use that. You can generally tell which ones you need, I believe, by investigating them, because they'll say which ones it'll need.
This theme is so good.
Yeah, the big important one here is this huge materia, because if you get closer to this one, this is one I believe we just got from the rocket. And if you have Bahamut and Neo Bahamut, you will get the second to last summon materia in the game in terms of power, I believe.
Bahamut 0.
Which is my favorite summon in the game in terms of looks. I love this thing.
Why doesn't he have a Z-Saber? He's Bahamut 0 after all.
Yeah, because they didn't think about Kingdom Hearts yet. Because that seems like something that series would do. If you don't get the huge materia from the rocket, there is another way to get Bahamut 0 by looking around in a certain portion of the Bone Village with the little excavation minigame, but otherwise, there's just more. This is just a better way to do it because it's easier. How does a guy float on an airplane? Because you're kind of already floating? Like, are you just exerting yourself more, or?
Momentum. If the airship is going down and you jump, you're getting farther and farther away from the ground.
Yeah.
So technically, at that point, you are floating.
Isn't that the property that those anti-grav, like, performance trips use?
Yep.
Those seem cool, but I would probably not be able to handle it with my motion sick stomach.
Yes. One of the most interesting, like, science-related, I guess, experiments that deals with motion. This isn't really motion, but it's an elevator called the Elevator to Hell. And what happens is you enter it, and there's it's like an invisible speaker, or it's like a speaker that's super well hidden, and it emits a really, really, really low frequency note. And because of the exposure to that frequency, you actually end up getting sick.
Like your body thinks it's moving so quickly that it's making you sick?
Your body thinks it's your body.
I think that's actually
it's
partially
moving.
why people get motion sick, because either your body's telling you you're moving, but your brain's telling you you're not, or vice versa. I think that weird inconsistency makes what does it. Also, a very minor nitpick about this game that I think I brought up before. I hate when the text boxes leave the screen like that. It's so minor and so easy to avoid, but it happens a couple times, and it just bothers the hell out of me when it does.
This game isn't perfect!
Ah! I'm just kidding, 7. I love you. I love you dearly.
Hey, I love 9 insects, but I acknowledge they have their own problems.
Yeah.
Like, come on, Kuja. Why you gotta be so edgy?
Honestly, my biggest problem with 9 going back is just the slow starts to every battle, especially at the beginning of the game when your speed's so low, to like the loading time for other models.
ATB gauge, starting all the way at the left. Not fun.
Fun! I love you, 9.
Don't worry, you just gotta have auto haste.
Yeah?
Just get the running shoes early, forehead. Just beat Tantarian in Disc 2.
I love the recent trend of just calling people forehead. I don't know why people do it, it's just funny to me. Either way, we have our next objective. It's time for us to head back to the City of the Ancients. But with that, we're going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 30, we're going to be seeing what we can do in here. See you guys then.